This is key for Roman Reigns. Keep the numbers down. Keep the advantage in your corner. Can it be? It is! The phenomenal one is here! AJ Styles! Oh my gosh! It has been rumored for weeks that the hottest free agent in sports entertainment was heading to WWE. Styles is here.
Former IWGP champion, same as Brock Lesnar.
Yes. Thank you, JBL. It is a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, JBL. AJ Styles, just like Brock Lesnar, like you mentioned. But, Bubs, we are here. It is finally time for the Royal Rumble. And that's just one of the many great moments that have happened in the Royal Rumble history. And we're going to get into that later on tonight. But this is our big 2019 Royal Rumble episode. Are you excited for this?
I'm ready.
You will be
How
there.
often do we get to hear mention of IWGP heavyweight champions on WWE TV? Not too often.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Some would
right?
say that it could happen in the future. We don't
So,
know. We don't know
yeah,
what's going to happen.
So that'll be nice.
Yes, but that's this
I'm
weekend.
I'm excited.
Here.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
We're here. We're talking about NXT Takeover. We're talking about the Rumble. We got a lot of things to talk about. I have Vanilla Crown.
Well, Bubs, the Rumble, it always Jamaican me happy. All right?
Hate it. Trash. Play on words.
Look, I had a long week. Work
Did
has
you?
been a struggle. I've been putting work over all week. Okay? When is it going to put me over? I don't know. But
I heard you're not going over for a while.
I've been jobbing.
I've heard.
I've been jobbing hard this week.
The dirt sheets are saying that you are going to keep putting on great matches, but keep losing to a protected finisher per the usual.
Which is inventory.
Inventory.
Which sucked. But
it's protected.
No one cares about that. What they care about is the Royal Rumble, NXT Takeover. If you've watched wrestling, WWE at least, over the last month, you'd have no idea the Royal Rumble was happening anytime soon. Because, as per usual, that's been my biggest complaint over the last few years, is that there was really no build to it. At all.
Every show we get to hear you talk about the lack of build, and it's fair.
Until they fix it.
It's not going to be fixed, but aren't they building WrestleMania right now? Won't WrestleMania be built?
Don't you remember every year there would be a big thing about, I'm entering the Royal Rumble, and it was a fight over who was going to enter first, who was going to enter last. Instead, we get the mixed match challenge determined who was going to come in at number 30. Which is cool, that's a good concept.
It's different, right?
Get eyes on the mixed match challenge, but other than that, there's been no struggle, no fight for the Royal Rumble. It's just, hey, the Rumble's happening. I'm gonna be in it. Oh yeah, well I'm gonna be in it. It's like, okay, good for you. Like, why should I care? Why should I care that you're gonna be in it? Why should I care that you want to go to WrestleMania other than it's WrestleMania?
Yeah, I would like to care about more than half of the roster, and I would want to be told, or I should believe, that at least half the roster or half the 30 men going in there have a chance to win. That's the build that I want. Is I have to watch it because it's so uncertain, not because they push and show about 5 primary guys and say that really these are the guys to look forward. You got Joe, you got McIntyre, you got Rollins, you got a couple surprise guys that are on the back burner. It's like, build it up so it's an unknown
even going to
thing.
be in it? We don't know when that match is taking place, so we don't even know if Balor's going to be in it.
There's a little bit of unknown because the same thing can be said for AJ Styles to be in it. So I don't know,
Which is sad. Which is really sad because
it leaves a little bit of unknown though.
Yes, but we were both in agreement that the Rumble is the second biggest show of the entire year, right?
Yeah, right.
And it's not just the Rumble matches; it's the entire card that is usually pretty substantial. 2 years ago, we had AJ Styles and John Cena in one of the best WWE title matches in recent memory.
Right.
Those
that
two
was
just
nice.
have unreal chemistry, and they just continue to top themselves in each match that they've had together. I don't see that happening with Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles this time around. It's going to be a good match, but, it's not going to be groundbreaking. I mean, there's nothing on this card where I'm like, that's a must-see match. I have to watch this match.
No.
Because
Even the
everything
Rumble
that we're
hasn't
getting,
felt like that, yeah.
No, exactly. Because everything we're getting is stuff that we've seen already. And, I mean, other than Balor versus Lesnar, which I think is going to be way better than what Lesnar versus Strowman was going to be.
Right. It will be a better watchable match, right?
But we know the outcome of that match with great certainty. So, is there anything on this card that makes you scream, I have to see this?
No, even some of it kind of turns me off to the point of like I'm questioning why they're doing it. Not that I hate the build of Miz and Shane McMahon as a tag team versus The Bar, but that doesn't excite me because Miz is main event worthy, and he's being buried, I think, intentionally. I'll get to it when we talk about this, but
that's an interesting thought.
It's weird. Okay. Yeah, I'll explain what I mean later, and buried won't be the right word, but I'll explain. But like Bryan versus Styles, I don't think we're seeing a title change. I don't think we're seeing anything significant happen in regards to the matches. It's just they're putting stuff out there to put it out there. The feuds are okay. Bryan and AJ has been built decently. They put time on it, at least on Tuesdays.
Vince is involved somehow.
Right, Vince is out there. Vince is out there a lot now, even out there with the Brock and Finn stuff. But even Brock and Finn
seems to have a kind of a thing with AJ going on since AJ.
We'll see.
Attacked him. I don't know where that's leading.
That's bound to lead to something, I would imagine. But the Finn versus Brock thing is only 2 weeks old. How much interest can we really have in that, except for the diehard Finn fans that want him to win? So I don't know. Mediocre is. And I'm excited for the match because I love the concept. I always love the Royal Rumble. I'm gonna enjoy it. But you're putting Rusev and Nakamura on the pre-show, so again, you're gonna hear me complain.
Rusev, you're right, Bubs. Whew. You really hit the nail on the head with that one.
It's Rusev year this year, though, so I'm getting behind it.
It's every year, right?
But Bubs, before that, we're talking NXT. But
before we get into any of that,
ooh.
Am I ever going to move that thing from the corner of the media hub? The paint brush thing? That's been there for...
That's been there.
I bought this house in 2016, and it's been sitting there the entire time.
It's never moved. I've made so many jokes years ago about that thing.
It doesn't change at all. It's right there. It's a gimmick now, Bubs.
Really is. It's a mainstay. Don't move it. Let it stay.
It's that. It's my Star Wars stuff, and then it's all my sports memorabilia up there.
I'm glad that that's a relevant part of this episode that we're recording is stuff in your room. Hashtag.
It is, and this is why people need to go and flock to our YouTube channel so they can see what kind of nonsense I'm talking about. And this is the media hub, Bubs, and / where I sleep when the kids are sick, and the kids are sick, so I've been sleeping.
Right. This is why we have a YouTube. It's to show things like this. So get out there, go subscribe to the channel.
Check out my great hair. I have great hair. You have a very red room, which I like the color. It matches the collar and elbow coloring scheme.
It does back there.
Going on. I also have that exact same Kurt Angle signed photo that sat behind me in my office in Afghanistan when you sent it to me. Thank you, Kurt.
I did. Kurt Angle hooked it up twice. He signed it for you.
Good guy. Love that guy.
Great guy. Recently just had a conversation about him. Great stuff. He looks
terrible in the ring now, but
yeah.
And he will be in the Rumble. Absolutely.
He will be. I'm totally against everyone else saying that he's not going to be there. They need to fill out that card, the 30-man.
Yes, and we're going to talk about who's going to be in the Rumble, and I'm excited about that. But like you said, you did mention, first things first is tomorrow night, or tonight, depending on when you're watching this and when this actually decides to upload on YouTube, or when I decide to upload it on YouTube, as another fact, is NXT Takeover. It is a struggle. Media up. But we've got...
You can't just say media hub.
You can, though. It's my gimmick. I'm going to abuse that word. Anyway,
but
NXT Takeover.
We're talking NXT Takeover Phoenix.
Which you will be there. You'll be at both.
I'll be there. And there's a couple things that I need to talk about real quick. And that is, I'm now I'm okay with the Velveteen Dream being taken off the card, though he may or not have ever been officially on it. We expected him to be on there against Adam Cole because he will show up on Sunday. I have taken that in. I've absorbed it. I've liked it.
Because he's put everybody... The old adage is you put people over on your way out. He's put everybody over. So, he can go out whenever he wants. He likes
to lose, and he likes to win sometimes irrelevant feuds. So it's time. I'm excited for the card, Bubs, for a few reasons, because I don't know if Cassius Ohno necessarily surprises me or I like him at all, but Matt Riddle finally being on a TakeOver card is going to be nice. He's going to bro out. We're going to see ridiculousness from Ricochet and Gargano. Of course, we get Aleister Black, so there's just looking at it. And to see it in person is going to be nice as well, Bubs. And we're going to run down some picks here. We're going to talk about some of the build, or some of the lack of a build, really. And we're going to see who we think.
Weird, because TakeOver usually has really strong builds to their shows. This is they've taken a page out of WWE proper, and there hasn't been a strong build to this show, which it's a TakeOver, which are traditionally very strong A to A plus shows, and a lot of it has to do with the build to them, and this one hasn't had it.
It's not the same, that's for sure. They put in the time. I mean, their Wednesday shows have been nice, but this one definitely does not have the feel of ones past, of where we've been, kind of chomping at the bit for Saturday night to come. So some of these matches I'm excited for, but the build has been a little lackluster, especially when we're talking about what's likely to be the leadoff match of Riddle versus Ohno. There's not a lot to like for me there. I'm really hoping Ohno just puts him over and we can just keep talking about Matt Riddle as he climbs the ladder.
Ohno's already put him over in a big way in their first match.
In the first match, I know, and this is on a bigger scale.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was, right?
It was nuts, and it's one of those things where NXT is must-see TV, especially on their TakeOver shows, but I've even made plans this Saturday. I'm going to be out of town just because, and it's not because I want to miss the show. I'm going to still watch it, but I'm not going to be live. But it's one of those things where I'm not, like I mentioned earlier, chomping at the bit to see this show. It's going to be great. Yeah. I know it's going to be great when I do watch it, but it's not must-see TV as of right now.
Right, it's not. But it's curious to think that some of these guys will be talking about moving off the NXT brand, maybe after even tomorrow night, to move up as we get towards WrestleMania. And we always have the conversation about, can they afford to lose this person? How does it affect the brand and things like that? Because we didn't expect, I don't want to say we didn't expect, but we've had the conversation before about someone like Shayna Baszler moving up, right? And she just keeps winning. So yes. How long do we see kind of the status quo remain here in NXT with the roster, which really hasn't changed a whole lot over the last year? And are we waiting to WrestleMania? Are we going to see some of it now? Does the Rumble mean anything? There's a lot of questions here.
Yeah, but NXT is one of those things where we talk about, oh no, this person's not Cassius Ohno, but
oh
no. But we've talked about people getting the call from NXT to WWE, and we go, ooh, how is NXT going to recover from this? But it just keeps going. It doesn't matter who. It's become it's not a machine like WWE is, but it's gotten to the point where it doesn't really matter who is left in NXT, because the powers that be know how to utilize the talent and can, when one star leaves, they have other stars who can replace them. Because when you had guys like when Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Neville, that class, when they left NXT, it was like, okay, I'm pretty sure we talked about this before. Like NXT, they're gonna need to rebuild. It's gonna take them a while to get back to where they were, but they continue to retool and get better. And then guys like Ciampa and Gargano step up. Guys like Aleister Black come in, Velveteen Dream, and then we're gonna think, oh man, what's gonna happen when these guys leave? Well, they're gonna have the next 2 or 3 guys step up. There's always gonna be people that are able to step up and keep it going. That NXT's not gonna run into the issue of, oh no, they lost this person. Now they're gonna go into a rut.
Right.
Because they have a track record.
I didn't expect someone like Bianca Belair to be so dominant so quickly and to be so main event, mainstream
but
type.
She's got charisma for days, but she's one of those that as soon as she steps in the ring, you're like, okay, this is a star.
I know. She's the EST of NXT, and I didn't think that she would. I knew she'd get a good push, but I did not expect her to get on this rise so quickly and really be in a position to beat Baszler and maybe take over the division because she hasn't lost. So
and that's
everything they do is
right. If you believe the rumors, Rousey is, and there's conflicting rumors going around that no, Rousey's leaving after WrestleMania. No, she's not. She signed this kind of deal. But if it's to be believed that Rousey's not going to be here past WrestleMania, then you need someone like Shayna Baszler to kind of come in and fill that void of the badass, legit fighter that can come in and, be a dominant force.
And I'd like to see that. I would like to see a nice storyline where she's the heel, someone's the face, and they accuse her or call her the wannabe Rousey now that she's moved up and Rousey's gone, and they play that angle. I think that there's a lot to be made with that.
Is she good enough on the stick to be able to?
She's not yet. So she can't compete with a lot of people, but she started to hold her own a lot more with promos, and that just takes time and experience, I think, and she'll be better at it. So a lot of stuff here, Bob. So I'm actually ready to start breaking this down if you're in the mood.
Of course I'm in the mood. Are you kidding me? It's the Royal Rumble weekend.
I think the lead off is Matt Riddle's. I think Matt Riddle leads the show off to get the crowd going.
Okay.
His music hits right. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Big pop, good way to start the show.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. And Cassius Ohno he's a guy who traditionally gets in a feud to get somebody over. That's been his shtick since he's come to NXT.
He was never going to be a top star in NXT.
No.
Ever.
And that's really what I want to see here. It's going to be a good match. I don't think we're going to see a 5-second knee to the face type of thing. So I like Matt Riddle for days, though, Bubs. This has him written all over it. This sets him up for something in the mid-card for WrestleMania weekend for that takeover. And him in the NXT North American Championship type of scene with a Gargano or Ricochet or a Cole.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Bubs.
That's what we need to build to. So I think there's a nice 3-way or a fatal 4-way set up for that match towards the WrestleMania takeover. So I like Riddle. I know you do too, Bubs. What else, though?
Absolutely. I do like Riddle in this match. I think it's going to be a lot... Well, I mean, anything is a lot longer than their first match. So I do think it's going to be a longer match. Ohno's going to learn from the previous match and not make the same mistake. He's going to be able to push Riddle a little bit. And Riddle needs to be able to show that he can go. And, I'm not a big fan of Cassius Ohno. I've never have been. I wasn't a big fan of him on the indie scenes as Chris Hero. But he does a solid job of having matches with these young up-and-coming kind of superstars and, being able to show their toughness. Like, he was able to bring out a different kind of side of Velveteen Dream that we didn't see before. A tough side. He's like, you think you're the king of the KO punch, I could take a punch. And he allowed Velveteen Dream to show, hey, he's a pretty tough guy. So the same thing's going to happen with Matt Riddle. Riddle's definitely going to win. It's not going to be as dominant as it was before, but Riddle's going to be able to show off some toughness and is going to be able to go over pretty strong against Ono.
Right. I imagine him winning with a finisher after he has to come back from a little bit of a decent attack by Ono.
Adversity. There's going to be some adversity.
Yeah, he needs to prove that he can take a little bit and get back up because he really hasn't been put in that situation yet. So that'll be nice to see, Bubs. Now, tag team scene wise, the War Raiders are on the rise.
Oh,
Hanson and Rowe, they're big stuff, and them against the Undisputed Era is just simply really good money. Like that's what you're paid to see.
The Undisputed Era is money. Period.
It is. O'Reilly and Roddy Strong against the War Raiders. I'm going to like this. I don't care where this is on the card, but this is where I think it's time we see a little bit of a change. So I'm really liking the title change here, Bubs, with the War Raiders taking it away from the Undisputed Era, because not that it's been too long. I'm down for long title reigns, but it's time that we see a dominant team like the War Raiders dominate a little bit and then have the Undisputed Era combat that and fight that from a different angle.
Right, and this is going to be one of those things where the War Raiders kind of turn into this NXT Generations version of AOP and the Ascension. So it was the Ascension, it was AOP, and then now it's going to be War Raiders. And there's a few teams in between each of those kind of reigns, but this is going to be a long-term kind of dominant reign for the War Raiders. And I agree with you that they are going to beat Undisputed Era, and it's absolutely nothing against the Undisputed Era. I wouldn't have a problem if the Undisputed Era won and continued to be champions, because they are phenomenal. They're a great
big draw.
Yes, they are. They're one of, if not the biggest draw in NXT with Adam Cole and the entire entourage. Mm-hmm. So nothing against the Undisputed Era. I wouldn't be upset if they did win, but I do think that this starts a long, lengthy reign for the War Raiders.
And that'll be nice to see, because big fans of them since they left Japan. They have been on the rise and been used properly in NXT. They beat the hell out of some jobbers. They've been working their way up, and then they found themselves in why am I drawing a blank on the double cage?
What, War Games?
War Games, right?
How can you forget War Games?
That one went right out the head right there. So I think it's time. That's the next step for them, and it doesn't mean the Undisputed Era goes away. It means that they can start the feud from just a different side. So I really like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Undisputed Era is not going anywhere. They're still the top of NXT unless they get called up, which I don't think is going to happen. I think they'll be in NXT for a while longer. But it's time for a dominant kind of tag team, like the AOP, like the Ascension, because that is kind of what NXT, it goes in cycles. So you have your dominant team like the Ascension, and then in between you have these lengthy kind of tag team runs like you have with Blake and Murphy, like you had with I know DIY were champs for a while, before AOP. There's just always tag team reigns, pretty good tag team reigns in between.
Enzo and Big Cass.
They've never won the title, Bubs.
They were in the scene forever, though.
They were, but they never won the title. I'm talking about
ever.
They were. I can't believe they've never won a tag team title ever while in WWE.
They had to. There was a lot of the Revival hanging around, and at that time too. So the Revival were just too good.
I can't wait till they're in AEW.
Yeah, it's really the best thing for everybody if they do that, because that's another topic for another show.
We'll get into that later. Okay, go on.
Yeah, match of the night. Let's talk about Ricochet versus Johnny Gargano for the North American title. This has been Ricochet's scene for a little while, right? Since Adam Cole.
Yes.
So the reason that these matches are really important is because the next takeover is in New York, New Jersey for WrestleMania, right? So that is a huge takeover event, and a lot of things start here and they build from here, just like the road to WrestleMania. It's the same thing for NXT. So when we're thinking about that North American Championship, the reason that I brought up Matt Riddle to start that was because to make that championship scene for that mid-card really exciting, you have to incorporate a lot of people. And I don't see Ricochet going anywhere. Johnny Gargano is main event quality if they want to throw him back in there against Ciampa.
It's going to be him and Ciampa on the WrestleMania card for
It has to be.
NXT
You're still
Championship.
calling it.
I'm still saying
that's
it. I
fine.
want it so bad.
I love it. I don't hate you for it, Bubs. But Ricochet versus Gargano here is going to be really exciting because Gargano's weird lately. He's been heel face, does heelish like things, wants to be friends with Ciampa, but he doesn't want to be friends with Ciampa.
Because he hates
He wants
Ciampa.
he wants the
Ciampa's
title
ruined everything.
now. He's ruined everything, right? Now he wants Ricochet.
But
So
DIY reunion and
yeah, a lot of that stuff. I don't think that Gargano has an actual footing on anything. He seems like just the perfect guy to place anywhere we need him. We need a feud for Ricochet. We need a feud for Ciampa. We need him to face somebody else. Like that's what he's been in a year now, and it's great because he can do anything that you ask him to and go put on a 5-star match. So that's really what this is. It's a plug-and-play situation, I think, here for Ricochet to get a great opponent, to put on a great match in a very significant takeover event to show that he can beat a top-level guy like a Johnny Gargano.
hear me out, Bubs.
Okay, here we go.
Is Johnny Gargano the HBK of NXT? I'm being real here. Someone
To a
who,
lesser degree, there's a lot of similarities.
Okay, and here's why I say that. Gargano's someone that anytime he's in the ring, he puts on a great match, great to stellar. Correct?
Okay.
He's someone that
Yes.
anytime you need someone in any kind of feud, he works. He could be heel or face, whatever you need him to do. He's a plug and play kind of guy who is so good at making you believe the chase, but never winning. For a decade, Shawn Michaels was always a guy you can throw into the main event scene. He would never win. He doesn't have to win, but he's always believable when he's put in that spot. Correct? Is that not
sure.
Johnny Gargano in NXT?
It is. So to a lesser degree,
Right,
He
of course,
is-
lesser degree.
he
And
is-
Shawn Michaels is the greatest of all time. To me, Shawn Michaels is
Johnny
the GOAT.
Gargano does right. Johnny Gargano does everything you need. He can, like I said, I think plug and play is the exact type of phrase you want to throw at this guy because he can do whatever you want, which is probably a damn good reason why he never got called up, is because he's really good at what he does. And that's not unfortunate, but that's a reason why you keep him in an NXT situation. Because if you need him in the main card, he's on the main card. If you need him at the top of the card, he's up there. If you need him in the middle, you need him to put somebody over.
Shawn Michaels
right,
in his second
I understand.
run.
Yep.
in his
So
GOAT run.
he does a lot of things. I don't think that Gargano is in place right now to be a champion because we don't know who he is. We don't know the character is it's wild right now, right? We don't know really what he's doing. So I like Ricochet to win. I like the match though, Bubs. I'm pretty excited about this one.
Yes, this is going to be so good. Huge fan of Ricochet, period. I've been riding the Ricochet bandwagon for years.
Yeah.
I was and a big fan of that Prince Puma guy. That reminds me a lot of Ricochet.
Right, they have a lot of similarities,
They
but no masks,
do.
so yeah.
Really similar in-ring style. Same tattoos, I think, if I'm...
Very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Ricochet, I've always been a huge fan of. Shout out to Kentucky for producing.
Give it up to Kentucky
Yes.
for throwing us
all
Prince
the
Puma.
places. But huge fan of Ricochet, huge fan of Gargano. This is going to be a great match. Like you said, very easily could be the match of the night. But Ricochet retains the North American
Don't
title.
try to build hype with me.
No, I mean, like we just talked about why Gargano won't
Yeah.
win.
Okay.
Because
you went on a diatribe about it. I don't want to hear you contradicting yourself
he's
2 seconds
not
later.
going to win. But could you imagine that North American title match at NXT Takeover for WrestleMania with Ricochet versus Matt Riddle?
I can, but I also want Adam Cole in the match. I want it to be a triple threat or a fatal 4-way.
I don't. Okay, I wouldn't be upset with that, but
Right.
just a one-on-one match with Ricochet and Matt Riddle could be money.
I know. I'm not saying you're wrong.
I'm not saying that you're saying that I'm wrong. I'm just saying that that's something that I would like. This isn't about
Okay,
you.
Fair point. It's not about me. It's about the next match. Shayna Baszler, Bubs, Bianca Belair, Women's Championship, the
This is
EST
about
of
this
NXT against.
And
It is against Shayna Baszler.
I don't know where to go with this one.
Really, you're struggling.
I am because Belair's on such a roll. And it's
undefeated.
And the way that they're booking her, it's hard to see her lose.
Okay.
We've seen Baszler lose.
We have.
But she's also on a roll, and she continues to excel in the role that she's in.
She's getting better every day.
So, now, it's one of those things where it's like, what does the future hold? Do they think Baszler is at a point where she can thrive on the main roster? Do they want to have her in the Royal Rumble and be able to call her the NXT Women's Champion while she's in the Royal Rumble, which is a big deal. Last year, we had the NXT Champion in the Rumble.
Okay.
So, this is one of the this is the toughest match to call on the entire card.
Okay.
And I would like to hear your opinion.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yes, so that way I can continue to make my decision in my head right now.
Okay, because you're clearly not made up yet. I want to see.
Not at all. This is difficult.
So you remember a year ago we talked about it'd be best if Shayna Baszler was in a chasing situation so she could chase the title, right?
And we were wrong.
We were, and she's gotten better. I want to see Shayna Baszler chase before I commit to her becoming a main roster legitimate women's division on Raw or SmackDown.
Isn't that the ultimate chase, though? Is putting her on the main roster?
No, I need to see her. I want to see her ability to do it at this level first before I think we throw her out there to the wolves. No, she needs to do it at this level now. Her character and what she's at now is far different from where she was a year and a half ago.
Well, when she was chasing Ember Moon for...
I think that there's a lot to be made by continuing the Belair build, because that's been very well done, and letting her win in some capacity. I cannot decide on how I'd want
DQ?
the finish. I even thought about DQ too, but there's a lot of that I'm thinking.
Because you have to protect Belair in this situation as well. Yeah,
there's a lot there. There's a lot to be had here, because is it legitimate if Belair beats Shayna Baszler? Because Shayna Baszler's been on this badass tear. She's choking people out. But Belair's got all this charisma, and she's hurting people. So is it realistic for her to beat Baszler? Is Belair's build worth losing a little bit if she just loses clean to Baszler? There's a lot of questions with this, which I agree makes it very difficult to call. But if I'm kind of going off what I want to see in the future on this one, and I want Bianca to win, I want her to take the title as well, which is why I didn't commit to the DQ thing. I want her to get the title, and I want to see Baszler again in a chasing situation to see how she can do that and to see how her promos improve as the chaser.
So you're saying Belair wins this match?
I'm going with Belair, yeah.
See, I think it's too soon.
Okay.
Now, it's one of those things where so my prediction is that Baszler comes out of the match as the champion.
Okay.
But I'm just not... I don't want her to win clean against the Belair, because I want Belair to continue... I don't want her to lose any of her momentum that she has going on right now. So I do think it's going to be some kind of no contest, some kind of DQ, to where, Baszler feels the match slipping away from her and goes to a point where she costs the match, but she still retains the title, which leads to the next takeover where Belair does win the title. And we have the Monday after WrestleMania, where Baszler can then debut on Raw or SmackDown.
So you like a longer build to this feud for it to keep going.
Absolutely.
I would love to see that as well. I want it to be done so that Belair's character is protected in some capacity. That's really all I would want if that's going to continue. So, and that can certainly happen.
Okay.
So that'll be good.
I feel like we're on the same wavelength here, but going into it's the same path but taking divergent kind of turns to get there.
I'm going to go left, Bubs. I want you to go right, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay.
I'm going to take exit 42. You're going to take exit 43, but we're going to end up at the same place.
Right. Yours is a mile shorter. I'll get there eventually. Okay. Now, let's talk main event, Bubs. This one has the most importance for the future in it, I think. Aleister Black, again, main event scene, challenger. Tommaso Ciampa, again, defending his title so many days as champion.
And he's okay, I'll just go ahead and say this. Ciampa's going to win.
Okay. Ciampa's going to win.
Yes, but how, though? This is because has Ciampa won clean?
I don't think he's won clean.
Like in his matches with Gargano, he's won, but it hasn't been to where you're like, okay, he definitely won that match. Yeah. So it was like, wow, I can't believe he got out of that.
The last takeover, when he had the Velveteen Dream, there was no outside interference. Right. There was no real nonsense that occurred. That match did a lot of things because there was, tables and all kinds of stuff outside, and that was one of my favorite matches of the year. He won that one clean if we're using the definition, but again, there's still a lot of him taking, heelish moves.
Right. So, yeah. He had to really work for it and fight for it.
And I like that because it showed Ciampa's, vulnerabilities a lot, which Aleister could be the kind of guy to take advantage.
Determination.
It really did. It showed a lot as him as champion and why he's been there for so long.
Much. NXT just does everything right.
Bubs, we talked about this one at several occasions. We talked about Aleister Black moving up, and I am saying it's time.
Oh, it is time, yes.
I think that this is now the perfect situation, even though I said at one point in time that there was a perfect situation for him to move to SmackDown before.
Great Weezer song, actually. Underrated Weezer song. Sorry.
He'll be in the Rumble on Sunday as well, along with the Velveteen Dream, and I think that at least Aleister Black is a guarantee to move up, even though we're not considering it moving up the roster anymore, according to Triple H. But I think he is changing brands and will find himself on Monday or Tuesday now, because he will lose this match.
Speaking of being at the Rumble, Bubs, you're going to be at the Rumble. All right.
Yeah, and I think.
And you're going to see Aleister Black there.
I think I'm going to see Aleister Black. I think I'm going to see a couple, 3 or 4 other random surprises, maybe a random legend that shows up. I think I'm going to see the Velveteen Dream. And I think that if properly booked, you see someone like Black or Dream in the final 4 to 5 people to show that the NXT brand has legitimate dudes that can end up in that situation. Like Adam Cole had a great showing last year, right? He did a lot of really good things. I think they do that with someone like a Black, or even Andrade could have done it last year too. But to put them in like that final position,
Andrade did have a pretty good Rumble showing, Bubs.
Right. He did. But I'm talking about being towards the end of it, where you're like, no way, final 4, final 3. I think that's something that we need to see from an NXT person to continue to show that NXT is just as strong as a Monday or a Tuesday.
I love that way of thinking. And what perfect person to have than Aleister Black. It's Aleister Black. He brings an aura about him, a legitimacy, where you see him and you're just like, okay, this guy's kind of scary, And I don't get a lot of people when Aleister Black first debuted and was around for a while, they were saying that he would be the next Undertaker, which I don't see that at all.
No.
But he does have an aura about him. He also has a fantastic entrance music.
It's great. It's been great since day one.
Yes. Yeah. But it is time. I do feel that Aleister Black has done everything that he can do inside of NXT, and right now is the right time to move him up. I don't think Ciampa's time as champion is done. He's got more things he has to do.
No, there's so many more things.
Have the final match with Johnny Gargano.
Yes.
At WrestleMania. But
okay.
But I do see Ciampa coming away the winner in this match, and I why not have Gargano be the reason why? Because if anyone's going to beat Ciampa, Gargano feels that it has to be him. He has to be the one that finally slays his inner demon.
Yeah. And would it be as satisfactory if somebody else beat Ciampa for that title besides
No, absolutely
Gargano?
not. It has to be Gargano,
It,
right?
it wouldn't be, right?
No.
It really does. And Aleister Black is a believable guy because he has shown that he's NXT championship quality. So it could happen. And it is a believable thing, but we don't really want that. We
Black
want
Mass Bobs. He can hit it at any moment.
one time, right?
Whew.
We as
Watch
fans,
the
we all
Lars
want
Sullivan.
Gargano versus Ciampa. That's what we want to see. And I think that really should be the right call when we're talking about WrestleMania weekend. And that'll be just show stealing type stuff.
WrestleMania night.
Yeah.
Put that in the main
night,
event.
sorry. Main event that. All right.
Yeah. Forget Brock, whoever he's gonna wrestle, Seth Rollins. But but yes, Aleister Black, I do think his debut is coming real soon. Does he put someone other than Gargano? Not Gargano. Does he put someone other than Ciampa out? Oh, jeez. Does he put someone other than Ciampa over on his way out? That's easier said than said. But Ciampa wins, and we're gonna see Black in the Rumble. I agree with you that is the most likely scenario.
Okay, Bubs, I agree with you. It's going to be great stuff. We got to start talking about it now. We got to start getting into this Rumble because, for one, it's a huge card, right? It's right now.
It's the big card.
So we're looking at 5+ hours, and there's pre-show stuff. Thank God.
I hate that it's so long. I don't need the pre-show. The pre-show to me is the biggest waste of programming. Bring back Sunday Night Heat, right?
I don't know who's actually watching all the pre-shows for the matches because one, you're not going to get there live and watch it because that's when they start letting people in is when those matches start.
Ask the Miz.
So you got a handful of people. I know.
Wasn't that at WrestleMania when
that was Ryback versus Kalisto was in that as well.
Oh, yes.
Miz was on the SummerSlam card, I think, after that, But yeah, see, it doesn't matter though. It's like we're missing the opportunity.
Stealer of Ryback.
Pre-show Ryback, U.S. title.
Yes.
And that's what we're getting here, Bubs. And it's probably going to lead off pre-show with Rusev versus Nakamura.
Oh,
Rusev.
God, I hate that because Rusev is the probably third most over person on SmackDown behind Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. And then Nakamura I feel, is having one of the best runs in his time in WWE. I love that blue outfit of his. When he wears all blue, that looks slick. But
I'm down for it.
And you're gonna have that on the pre-show, which is probably, in my opinion, the hottest storyline with the most heat going on than any of the others.
That one has the most realism to it.
Yes,
right?
the most actual build is that match, and you have it on the pre-show. Bobs, don't get me started.
I don't want to get you started. It's because I guess by comparison,
one rant per show is coming up, and I don't want it to be this.
We'll hold on to it because we're going to get through these rather quickly, Bub. So Rusev Nakamura, U.S. title. We can't have a title change because Nakamura did nothing with that title. Half of it was booking problems. Half of it was his lack of English. So Rusev to maintain, but do they both enter the Rumble? Because Nakamura is a defending champion, so should he not have the opportunity?
No, Nakamura will be in it. I don't know if Rusev is in it.
Me neither. I think I'm on the same there with you. I think Nakamura certainly will be in just for the sake of he should be like an automatic entrant or whatever.
Right. You brought up a fantastic point. He is the defending champ. He should have a chance to defend that title.
Let that sink in. He was the winner of the Royal Rumble last year. Now he's pre-showing 2019. What trash booking can get you from a star?
Anybody. Which I thought that
so I'm taking Rusev, Bubs. I know you are too.
Yes, I'm taking Rusev also. But let's get into that a little bit.
Okay.
Nakamura won the Royal Rumble last year.
Yeah.
At WrestleMania, he lost a tough match against AJ Styles, and then, in my opinion, had a brilliant heel turn. Because
it would have worked. It was nicely done.
Exactly. The match, a couple matches before, you had, Asuka lose to Charlotte, and Charlotte, they hugged it out. And then you had the same moment with AJ Styles and Nakamura, and you're like, okay, I see what they're doing. And then he low blows him, and you're like, oh man, what an out of nowhere heel turn. And then I thought for the next few weeks, Nakamura as a heel was fantastic. I was like, wow, this is going to be great. They're going to put the title on Nakamura, and it fits. It makes sense. But now Shinsuke Nakamura is on the a year later, he is relegated to the pre-show of the Royal Rumble. What happened? What happened?
Timing happened. Timing. The perfect time to pull the trigger on him was when the heel character was at its peak.
And that's one thing that drives me nuts is that WWE, they get this opportunity presented right in front of them. It's so easy. All you have to do is say, yep, boom, big check mark, send them out there. Let's go. Let's pull the trigger on this. But they don't do it. Same thing with Rusev. The whole Rusev Day thing happens, and what do? At first, they try their hardest to put this on the back burner, make it act like it's not happening. But the fans are like, no, this is happening. You're not going to shut us up about this because Rusev Day is what we want. And no matter what you do, we're going to try to make this happen. So WWE goes, that ain't happening.
That's exactly how they did it too, just as you interpreted there.
Yeah. Stone Cold showed up, and that's exactly how it happened. So, WWE goes, wow, this is the hottest thing going right now. We could probably do really good with this, but I really want this other thing to work out that the fans really don't want, but I'm going to keep making that happen. So that's what we get. Instead of getting what we want, which worked so well in the past, when the fans say, hey, we want this, and WWE gives them this, then magic happens. Instead, nowadays, it's like, hey, the fans want this. Well, that's not what we want. So we're going to go in another direction. And what do you get? You get a bunch of pissed off fans that turn their back on your product. Right now, this is my one rant per show. And so what are those fans going to do? They say, I ain't watching WWE anymore. I'm going to cancel my WWE Network subscription. Oh, hey, there's this really cool new brand popping up called AEW, All Elite Wrestling, with all these fun guys that I like on the indie scene, and they got a lot of money behind them. Why don't I go and support them now? That's exactly what happened in the mid-90s when WCW decided, hey, we're going to go toe-to-toe. We're going to be where the big boys play. And guess what? They became cool. They started pushing the things that people back then wanted to see, and the fans flocked to them. Has WWE, are they going to let history repeat itself? It sure does seem that way. Yeah, okay. That was one big breath.
Good rant based around Rusev year. Strong year for Rusev, Bubs.
God damn it. It's not going to be. I want it to be. I want Rusev to be at You want him more than anything to be at the top. I know it's not going to happen, so I've already prepared myself for him. He's probably going to lose on the pre-show. So
right. Bubs.
Rusev wins, by the way. That's my pick.
We're gonna get through this card pretty quickly, just to talk about predictions real quick, because we need to start talking about the Rumble specifically, because we got a couple things we want to talk about with that. Right.
Got my rant out.
So
good.
We're gonna get through this really quickly. The Bar are gonna defend SmackDown titles against The Miz and Shane McMahon. I prefaced this a little bit earlier, but this Miz and Shane McMahon thing cannot, please God, cannot be a lead up to them defending tag titles at WrestleMania. I hope that's not really what's going to happen, because that would make me pretty upset. So I'm just going to go against it really quickly, because I'm not done talking about it yet. I'm going to talk about it at the end. I need the Bar to win to retain. What do you got?
The Bar is going to win because The Miz and Shane McMahon are going to wrestle each other at WrestleMania.
Okay, so we'll talk about that too. Not a bad point. On next, Bubs. I forgot to mention really quickly also on the pre-show, we skipped over at Cruiserweight. Buddy Murphy's going to retain against Hideo Itami. He's in and out. And then Kalisto. What do you got that's different?
Nothing.
He's too big right now to lose.
Murphy's going to win. Okay.
Moving on. Good stuff. I love it. Ronda Rousey against Sasha Banks has a little bit of intrigue now, because they removed Nia Jax 2 weeks ago from the position. Now we're getting Sasha Banks. So do they risk any reason to take the title off of Rousey
No.
other than a possible match with her and somebody else for another title.
No. Rousey wins, Rousey retains, and she will wrestle at WrestleMania for the title where she puts over the next big deal.
Okay, I agree with you as well. Ronda Rousey's going to win. Asuka, though, versus Becky Lynch. Can we have Becky and Ronda go into WrestleMania both as champion? Can Becky go into the Women's Rumble as champion? What are we talking, Bubs?
That's a good-ass question, Bubs. And I don't... This is one I've been going back and forth with myself on for the last couple weeks. Because I think... I hate saying this because we say this every year. Anytime there's a big women's match, we go, Becky Lynch has to win it. The Royal Rumble, Becky Lynch has to win it.
Yeah.
So, somehow Asuka retains. I do think Asuka's going to continue being the SmackDown Women's Champ. And I think because how hot Becky Lynch is, Vince wants her on Raw. So I think she wins the Royal Rumble and gets... I just stole this from you, didn't I? That's what's going to happen.
So let me just add on to it real quick. Raw ratings are absolute garbage forever.
Yes.
And the one way you correct that is you get the hottest thing in all of professional wrestling, which is the man Becky Lynch, and you put her on that product. And I agree 100% with you. That is great TV. That's good. That's smart on Vince's part as well to do that. So, Bubs, Asuka has to win, but she cannot beat Becky clean, obviously. That degrades Becky Lynch. So I don't know how the ending happens, but Asuka wins. So let's move on.
Okay.
Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. I have an easy decision here unless you feel like there's something else to talk about.
Nope, easy. Right. Daniel Bryan wins, and he will defend at WrestleMania.
Right, Daniel Bryan wins. I even think it's clean. I think this adds to AJ Styles and Vince McMahon's little riff.
Because I don't know what they've got going on, and I'm intrigued. I'm interested in it.
It has. This is what happens when Vince McMahon shows up on TV and gets involved in storylines. Is it gets a little more important. So I think it's a very good match. I think Daniel goes clean. I think he taps AJ Styles.
See, I don't think that. I think he hits him with the knee, flying knee.
I'd love to see him win with the Styles Clash. That would make me happy.
Wait,
but
Daniel win with the Styles Clash?
Yes, Bubs.
That's a hell of... How does he set that up?
We'd have to see it. Anyway, right? Brock Lesnar, Finn Balor. This is 2 weeks old. Are you invested in this whatsoever? Like 47% of my Twitter poll is saying that Finn Balor is going to win.
No, Finn Balor absolutely will not win, but I'm as intrigued about this as I was about Brock Lesnar. Because remember... When Brock Lesnar faced AJ Styles 2 years ago at Survivor Series, it's something that happened 2 weeks before. And it was
right, because we had a title change.
No pun intended, but it was a phenomenal match. And the whole point of that title change was to have... Because no one wanted to see Brock versus Jinder at all. Brock definitely didn't want that. Brock loves these kinds of matchups. Look at all of... Since he's returned... in 2011 or 12. Was it 2012, I believe?
Brock?
Yes. When he returned, his best matches have come against supremely athletic, smaller individuals. In my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, definitely not the best triple threat match of all time, because that's HBK, Chris Benoit, and Triple H.
Right.
But one of the best triple threat matches of all time was between Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and Seth Rollins at the Royal Rumble. When Brock has an opponent that he wants to be with, he puts on a great show.
That's when he's the draw.
Exactly, and he's done it with AJ Styles. He's done it with Daniel Bryan. And he's going to do it again with Finn Balor because he wanted this match. No one wanted to see Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar again.
It's really not a match between those two. No. It's not
and Brock
good TV.
Didn't want that match. Brock wanted Finn Balor. And he's going to get Finn Balor, and it's going to be another, David versus Goliath kind of matchup where Brock's going to dominate for a good majority of it, but Finn's going to get his offense in, And he's going to make it to the point where you think, oh man, does Finn have a chance? But then Brock hits him with the final F5 and 1, 2, 3. But it's going to be a hard-fought match, and Brock's going to let Finn have enough offense to make Finn feel believable. So I'm excited about that.
I'm excited for that point only, and I really don't know what the point is for Balor after this. I don't know where we see him. Obviously, we think he might be in the Rumble match, but where does this put him on the WrestleMania card? Because if you're facing Brock Lesnar for the Universal title 2.5 months before WrestleMania, you're a pretty big deal, and you're in a really big spot. So I want to see how far he slides down, or if he slides down whatsoever, or even if he maintains this type of spot when we're talking in April, because the fans want it. Everybody seems to be behind Finn Balor. So
all in on Finn Balor. We aren't. If you and I are not.
We're not. No.
But the fans are, and we don't matter at all.
Yeah, and if this is part of the WWE's change, like they said they were going to do, about a month ago, is to push people like a Balor, then I'm okay with that because I'm okay with change. But Brock Lesnar not being on WrestleMania is something I haven't been. I've read the dirt sheets on that, saying that there's never been a plan for him at WrestleMania. I call bullshit because he is the draw for the main event, and Finn Balor has limited draw outside of the WWE for mainstream audiences. So
there absolutely is a place for Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania because it's going to be to put over Seth Rollins.
Right.
Who wins the Royal Rumble? But
so we'll talk. So we'll move on from Lesnar versus Balor now, Bub. Since you want to start talking about some stuff real quick, we're going to talk women's Royal Rumble though. And here's something that hasn't had a build because the only people they really talk about and mention: Charlotte, Becky.
Lynch.
Who else? Are they mentioning anybody else? Really? Is there any other build?
Rose is going to come out like
Mandy Rose gets
in her
TV
underwear.
Time, sure. Okay.
Alexa Bliss is going to be topless. I don't know.
Right. If Liv Morgan gets the push that we're not expecting, and Liv Morgan makes it to the final three, though. Do you?
I do. I always have. She's always done it for me.
She's gotten better, and we'll talk about that at a later time. But it's basically,
is Ruby Riott going to get that?
Ruby
big
Riott
push?
Ruby Riott is the dark horse in this, as I think a little bit of Ember Moon is, because I
don't see Ember Moon being a threat in this match though.
Okay.
Not yet. I think she's a year away from that. Nia is always a threat, no matter what the circumstance is, just because of her style and her size. She's always a threat, but I don't think if Nia Jax wins, it's only to have Ronda beat her up soundly at WrestleMania. That's all it is. The Rumble is to establish a star, and I think last year would have been a great time for Nia Jax to win. This year, not so much. No one wants that. Last year would have been just fine. This year, not so much. This year, there's only one person that's going to win the same in the women's match and in the men's match. I am 100% dead set on both winners.
So before we get to winners real quick, is there any... We're going to see some surprise entrances, obviously, because they're down about 12 spots right now as far as it being full. So we're going to see a couple legends here and there, some surprises, just like they did last year, which was fun. Last year was nice to see. It was very well done, I think. But is there anything of surprise? Like, do we see, for example... Do we see like someone like a Ruby Riott enter number 1 and stay till the end, or like a Sasha who hangs out?
So you're asking, are there any kind of storyline, like major storylines that we're expecting out of this match?
Yeah, is this going to be
coming out of
something
this
that we
match?
remember?
We're going to be like,
what are we going to
wow.
remember?
Okay, I don't know. I think this is going to be more for maybe there is the Iron Woman of the match. Maybe someone like a Becky Lynch says, I'm going to enter at number 1, and I'm going to go all the way through, because I'm the man.
What a story.
God, she's winning. I'm saying it. I'm predicting it now.
Okay.
She's my pick. Becky Lynch. I picked her last year. I'm going to pick her every single year until she wins. So Becky Lynch is my pick.
Okay. Do you have a dark horse though? Somebody on the back burner that you could legitimately see winning it and believe to be in a WrestleMania spot?
A dark horse, someone that we're not expecting? No, I don't.
Okay.
Because I do think both winners are gonna maybe not both winners will come from Raw, but both winners will challenge the Raw titles.
Okay. So this is where we get to see some differences finally, Bubs. I'm not on the Becky Lynch train on this one.
I didn't expect
for the first time in a long time.
Even though we live on that train, we are squatters on that train.
I have so much merchandise on that train and like housing equipment that's ridiculous. But I'm going with Charlotte Flair because I think that turns into the bigger storyline and the bigger story down the road for WrestleMania. WrestleMania still involves Becky Lynch.
Does Asuka get her win back against Charlotte Flair?
No, I think we're actually trending towards, even though none of us want it, we're trending towards triple threat between Ronda.
I don't want the triple threat, though. I
know,
don't want it.
I do not either, but I think we're trending in that direction because Becky doesn't need to win this whatsoever to be in the position against Ronda because they have their feud still from Survivor Series. So to put Charlotte in that situation, there needs a little bit more.
It's the same reason. Stone Cold never needed to win the Royal Rumble, but he won it 3 times.
He won fucking 3 of them. Well, it's because it's Stone Cold, and this is Becky Lynch. And
if you want to establish your top, you want to establish the guy, the man, why not have them win the Royal Rumble when they don't need to? Becky Lynch definitely doesn't need to, but she's there right for the picking. It's the perfect scenario. The best case scenario for WWE. The fans want it, and the fans are tired of being burned at the Royal Rumble.
They are.
Tired of it. And sure, you're not in Philadelphia. If you're in Philadelphia, there's no way you're not making Becky Lynch win.
Those are the worst fans.
They are absolute the best.
Almost as bad as Chicago.
Oh. Bubs, Chicago's the best fans in all of wrestling. Let's be real.
Okay. I don't know, Bubs. I'm going all in on Charlotte on this one, and I really do think if we're talking dark horse, I would have to go with Ruby Riott because to this, even though it wouldn't be legitimate for WrestleMania, but they could put her against an Asuka. That's a believable thing.
But to me, there's no dark horse at all in this match. I don't think there really is. This person has a strong, like the men's match. There's always 2 or 3 people that are like, I would be surprised if this person won, but it would kind of make sense. Women's match this year not so much. This year there's only one person to me that makes sense winning. Charlotte doesn't need to win ever. She never needs to win the Royal Rumble to be inserted into the main event. The only reason Ric Flair won the Royal Rumble was to put the title on him.
The title. It's a great title.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the men's match, Bubs. Let's get into this real quick.
All
it's
right,
the main
Seth
event.
Rollins wins. Boom.
It's going to close the match. There's that. Okay, because this one has to have some dark horses in it. This one's going to have a couple surprise entrances. We're going to have some returns. I'm expecting Matt Hardy. I'm expecting Bray Wyatt. I may be expecting Bludgeon Brother 1 or 2. I don't know yet. But we talked about the Dream. We talked about Aleister Black. So anything memorable about this one? Because a lot of stuff happens at Royal Rumbles, right? A lot of things we always remember. What's going to happen at this one?
So quick dark horse for me. My dark horse pick is McIntyre.
Okay. He's a dark horse? Okay.
He's a dark horse, yes. Because
he's a front runner.
He might be a front runner to you, but no one honestly expects McIntyre to win. Because literally everyone, and I had someone message me today saying, "Hey, is your Royal Rumble episode? Is that coming out today?" I said, "Yep, it's coming out today." And he asked me, "Well, who do you think's going to win?" And instead of being like, "Well, you better listen," I go, "It's Seth Rollins." And he goes, "Well, yes, everyone knows that." Yeah. And it's a very good point. Everyone knows Seth Rollins. They feel it, they sense it. Seth Rollins is going to win, which of course means he's not going to.
Right.
So, McIntyre is a good dark horse, in my opinion. We always pick Dolph Ziggler as a random dark horse. That's definitely not happening this year. But can you think of anyone that we're like, okay, I don't expect this person to win, but they could? I could see him winning, like a Lashley maybe, or someone like that. But I can't think of anyone else that it's like, ooh, this person could really throw a wrench into the cog.
The only real dark horse that I have that fits in the true dark horse category is Andrade Cien Almas for me, because there with the Daniel Bryan pin about a month ago or 3 weeks ago
that gets me all hot and bothered.
Yeah, that gets you really soggy bottoms. I know it does, because that is good TV, and that is a good push, and that is how you really build somebody from NXT and shove them down the throats in a good way on the main roster. So he is my dark horse.
You can shove him all the way down my throat, and I'm okay.
God.
How long have I been on the Andrade Cien Almas train?
But Bubs, can I do my rant really quick? My one for show, because it's time for me, and this is almost.
Ooh, that's copy. That's actually gimmick infringement, Bubs. That's
I asked first, though. I feel like I asked for permission.
Ahead. You can rant.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, conspiracy theory number 1 that I've been holding on to forever. Here we go. The tag team makeup of The Miz and Shane McMahon is nothing more than a diversion to make us think that The Miz is not winning the Royal Rumble, which he is. We are going to relive the Daniel Bryan versus The Miz storyline. Long-term storytelling will come through finally, and we will get The Miz versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, because I believe in long-term storytelling, and I believe that misdirection by WWE was intentional on their part to shove him in a buried position in a made-up tag team in the early part of the card, just so we would forget when he comes out at number 28 that he can't legitimately win the Rumble, and he does win the Rumble by throwing out Seth Rollins at the end. So, Bubs, I know Seth Rollins is going to win. I believe you. I am with you. However, I have to do this for the sake of doing this, because how long have you and I wanted The Miz to be WWE champion again and to finish off the Daniel Bryan storyline? The answer is a long time. So there it is. Give me The Miz. When his music hits, I pop, and
Bubs,
I'm ready.
If I wasn't dripping wet when you brought up Andrade Cien Almas, I am swimming right now.
It's so wet in
thinking
your room.
about The Miz winning the Royal Rumble and going on to wrestle Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania for the WWE title and winning the WWE title.
Winning.
Oh, yes! We've talked about this for years. And I want it more than anything. I never knew I wanted something so bad until you just brought it up.
Yes.
And it brought back memories and flooded me with these thoughts of talking smack. And The Miz just going off on Daniel Bryan. And that being the start of this long, just arduous road to this moment.
Yes.
And what a moment that would be. As soon as The Miz wins the Royal Rumble, the announcers are going nuts because this is not something that was expected. The Miz is not in any kind of storyline right now that makes you think he is destined for the main event. But The Miz is somebody that he's put in the work. He has built himself in a way that makes you say, I want him to be at the top of my wrestling card.
Yes.
10 years ago, did you ever think, man, I really wish The Miz was the WWE champion? No.
Oh, no.
You didn't. Because 10 years ago, he was the tag team champion with John Morrison. And he was wearing those really terrible cargo shorts. He just looked horrible. But in those 10 years, The Miz has turned himself into the quintessential WWE superstar. There's a lot, and we've talked about this before when we talk about an actual star. It's someone that you can talk to anyone on the street and say, hey, do you know John Cena? And they go, oh yeah, of course I know who John Cena is. And they do the You Can't See Me. They know Hulk Hogan. Who's Hulk?
Hulk Hogan?
Stone Cold Steve. They know all these guys. Well, a lot of people believe it or not, know who The Miz is. Whoa! Know who The Miz is. Bubs, it's a struggle. a lot more people than we realize know who The Miz is. So,
TV show, Bubs. USA Network.
Yes. Miz and Mrs. is a great show, by the way.
It's nice. It's real
Me and
fun.
my wife love that show. Can't wait for the new season to kick off. But why not capitalize on who has been the hottest star over the last 2 years? Someone who can make himself feel important at a moment's notice. Someone who can make any title that he holds or is chasing the most important title at the moment. When he was the Intercontinental Champion, what was the biggest title in wrestling? The Intercontinental Champion. When he was the U.S. Champion, what was the biggest title in wrestling? The U.S. Championship. Put the WWE Championship on The Miz, and the WWE Championship becomes the most important championship in all of wrestling.
I knew that subconsciously this was sitting in the back of your head. We just haven't talked about Miz for months.
No,
So
I
I'm
want to
glad
talk
this
about
came
him
out.
so bad.
And
I want to have our post-WrestleMania show be filled with confetti and filled with cheers and filled with joy because The Miz is the champion and The Miz is awesome.
I love it, Bubs. It's fantasy booking on my part. I get that. I am all on board on Seth Rollins, though you know this because we've talked about it for months because it really is probably the best thing that could happen.
he's gonna win.
But if we get McIntyre too, that's not bad. If we get something ridiculous like a Miz, I'm happy too. So the Rumble's going to be fun. It's always fun because something weird happens. Kofi Kingston saves himself somehow. It's just everything you want.
One last thing I want to bring up before we wrap this thing up with the Rumble. Before we wrap the whole show up, will R-Truth really be number 30? Are some kind of shenanigans going to happen?
No, he will enter number 1 by mistake because he thought it was number 30. I really believe that. I thought it was funny at first.
Yes.
I thought it was just
That's actually
that would've been
really
funny.
good.
But I think he'll come out number 1 and think it's 30.
He's going to run into the ring and just look around and then start celebrating.
And he's going to celebrate too. I really think that's fun. That's fun. It's really a fun thing that I want him to do. Comes out number 1, and instead number 30 becomes somebody legit, like Braun. Even Braun has to have a place in this too.
Okay.
So I'm ready for that.
Okay, last thing before we wrap this entire show up. Will we see the WWE debut of Kenny Omega?
Oh, we're going to talk about it? The answer is no.
Okay.
Kenny Omega will not be in WWE. Kenny Omega is going to support All Elite Wrestling. I'm over it. It's not that I don't want it because I think it's great stuff, but at this point there's things that I want more, like Seth Rollins, like The Miz. I want those more than I want Kenny Omega. So okay. I'm over it, Bubs.
That is a great point, and I agree with you. I don't think we will see Kenny Omega inside of WWE ring, although I think in the long term it would be for the best for AEW if Kenny Omega went to WWE, made a bigger name in the States for himself, and then went to AEW, but I don't think it's going to happen. But really, it's not up to us. It's up to the powers that be. But we would also like to know what you guys think about everything that we talked about, what you expect to happen at the Royal Rumble, and what you expect to happen at NXT Takeover. You can hit us up on Twitter at CAE Wrestling, at Kenny Oak Sports, at Crispy Quick. It's all right there on the bottom left hand of your screen. You can also find us on Facebook at Collar and Elbow Wrestling. That's the very top of the bottom left part of your screen. We love talking with you. We love engaging in wrestling conversation with everyone that listens to the show. You can hit us up. We will answer you back. You can send us voice messages on Anchor, which is a super cool feature, and we will definitely oh man, let me get a hold of myself.
You got to get it together, bud.
It's rough. We will definitely put you on our show when you send us voice messages, and we will answer you live on the air. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It is a huge weekend, big wrestling. Can't wait to see what happens with the Royal Rumble. Can't wait to see what happens on the road to WrestleMania. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time, and together we will make wrestling great again. Thank you guys.